New concerns about North Korea now, after a study finds the regime has more than a dozen secret missile operating bases where work continues on its ballistic missiles program. This from the D.C.-based Center for Strategic and International Security, which cited new satellite images. The report emphasizes the hidden bases are not launch facilities. No immediate comment yet from the State Department. But last week, the State Department called off a meeting in New York between Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and North Korea's leading nuclear weapons negotiator, and it has yet to be rescheduled. Vice President Mike Pence today in Japan saying progress is being made, but the administration is keeping the pressure on Pyongyang. Watch.
President Trump believes his relationship with Chairman Kim is good. And since their historic summit in Singapore in June, we've made good progress on the agreement that's reached. But more work remains. As we speak, another summit is being arranged. The sanctions will remain in full force until we achieve the final, fully verified denuclearization of North Korea.
Donald Trump also tweeting, Congressman, a few minutes ago, quote, "The story in the New York Times concerning North Korea developing missile bases is inaccurate. We fully know about the sites being discussed. Nothing new and nothing happening out of the normal, just more fake news. I will be the first to let you know if things go bad." Okay, so
I don't know about that last one.
I'm not sure about that last part,
Yeah.
but Congressman, you're on the Foreign Affairs Committee. You're obviously very steeped in these issues. The vice president mentioned the sanctions regime, but we have seen some of the international sanctions pressure start weakening. Other countries are not fully enforcing them. How are you looking at this new report? How concerned are you about what North Korea is doing?
Yeah, I'm very concerned. There's 2 points to this. There's 4 instruments of power: diplomatic, information, military, economic. In order to have any of those work against an adversary, diplomacy, you have to have a military option that's credible. One of my concerns was back in May or June, the president seemed to be removing the military option by suspending the war games and saying that Chairman Kim is his best friend now. With South Korea.
Right.
And saying that Kim is his best friend. And I was afraid that that was letting off some of the pressure to compel North Korea to action. But look, it's a little bit different in that when the negotiations with Iran were occurring, it was happening for years and it was behind closed doors, and we weren't kept apprised about every aspect of the change until the deal was done. That's fine for how that happened. I didn't like the deal, but that's how the deal came about. This is the equivalent of that, but it's being played out in the public sphere. So every time there's a setback or something moving forward, we see about it, and it seems like this has been a really long period of time when it's only been a few months. So I'm not to the point yet of saying let's cut off all negotiations and get ready for the military option, but I do think this is a very concerning thing, and I do think it's probably time for the president and the Secretary of State to begin to ratchet up that pressure again, militarily, economically, et cetera.
And I just want to point out that really quickly, we kind of smile when President Trump tweets in the way that he does, but his South Korean the presidential office backed up what President Trump said in an earlier statement, that the U.S. and South Korean military intelligence were already aware of the sites mentioned in this report cited, and the analysis revealed nothing.
True, but keep in mind, South Korea, the prime minister there, the president of South Korea, has been very much all about let's just make a deal with North Korea.
Right. It seems like the public posturing from the administration is trying to offer North Korea this brighter future of what they could be. But my question to you, is that something that Kim Jong-un or North Korea is interested in? Because it seems like for Kim Jong-un, his interest is in power and control. And so he wouldn't want those things for North Korea.
I think he'd be interested in it if it meant he stayed in power. Right now, he's basically deprived all his people. They have no hope. They have no opportunity. They have no information.
But isn't keeping them in that position?
And I think that's good for keeping him in power.
So, and Melissa and Dagan, you both have a business background. We talk a lot about sanctions and the power of sanctions to ratchet up pressure. What more could we be doing? Because other countries are starting to take their foot off the gas here a little bit.
Well, I mean, I would point out that what the president also said, that the time horizon, I mean, there is no rush. He said the sanctions are on, the missiles have stopped, the rockets have stopped, and hostages have come home. And that does kind of put it in perspective. You know, we really have given up nothing. We've gotten hostages. And the posture, I mean, they're not firing off rockets all the time. So to kind of sit here and say...
But what has North Korea really given up?
hostages and firing missiles.
Right.
But they still have all those missiles. They're just not testing them. Is that really a win?
They've made some small
better is
concessions.
better.
But I'll say in terms of the pulling back on the sanctions enforcement, we're in a trade fight. We're in a kind of multifaceted fight with China. We're trying to restart those trade negotiations. That's something that has to be on the table. We've had, obviously, last week, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo was set to meet with his kind of counterpart, a senior North Korean official. That meeting canceled. In August, a planned trip to Pyongyang was canceled at the last minute. And you also have Nikki Haley, who's done kind of great work at the United Nations for the U.S., stepping aside at the end of the year. We said this sitting on this very sofa, Marie, that when President Trump met with Kim Jong-un, the statement was short, less than 500 words. There was no timeline, no roadmap for these negotiations for disarmament, and that was going to be an issue, and clearly it is right now.
Last word, Congressman. Should the U.S. re-engage in negotiations, stop canceling meetings, get back at the table with them?
No, I think canceling meetings is good. I think there needs to be a cost for North Korea's indigence, whatever that word is, intransigency. I don't know. I'm making up words now.
No, it's okay.
But their resistance. And I think there has to be a cost to that, and that has to be economic. And with, hey, we're not going to meet with you then, because otherwise you're just satiating Kim Jong-un.
We'll keep watching this, definitely.